There is cold, and then there is cold. Let's talk about the trade-offs between single layer and double layer boots. Hello again, I'm Jason. In response to a viewer question, I recently did a video about the difference between single wall and double wall tents, and you can check out that video by following a link in the description. Well, I got another question about the difference between single layer and double layer boots. So let's get into it. First, to be clear, for double boots, I am not talking about an integrated gaiter. I'm talking about a removable liner that is specifically there for added insulation. Also, there's a lot more that goes into choosing a boot than just choosing a single or double. Think of this video as a starting point if you are selecting a boot. We'll get into a few of the other subtleties, but the biggest trade-off is going to be warmth versus weight. Double boots are warmer, but they are heavier. And remember, any weight added to our feet is the equivalent of adding 5 times that weight to our pack when it comes to energy expenditure. For example, my single layer La Sportiva G5s weigh 1 pound and 12 ounces or 794 grams each, while my La Sportiva G2s weigh nearly 8 ounces or 227 grams more each, which is like adding the equivalent of 40 ounces or 1,134 grams to my pack. Besides the warmth though, the liner in a double boot adds a few more benefits. One is that we are far less likely to get blisters. It's kind of like how having 2 socks lets one sock slide over the other, rather than having just one sock rub on our toes. Another benefit is a more easily achieved morning routine. We can keep our boot liners in our sleeping bag or quilt overnight, and that means a nice warm introduction to our footwear in the morning without having to boil water to place hot bottles in our boots. Time saved in the morning means more sleep overnight. Okay, so why ever select a single boot in the cold? Well, our feet can get too warm. Getting truly swampy feet can make the end of the day truly unpleasant when we bring a sweaty foot out into the cold. And a sweaty foot could become a cold foot very quickly if we have to take a long pause and thus bring our body temperature down. Cold can actually be most problematic through conduction as the cold bleeds from the snow or ice up through the sole and midsole. Also, that little bit of sliding for the inner boot inside the outer boot that helps with blisters also makes a sloppier feel if we are doing technical climbing. Single boots will feel much more precise if we need to make very purposeful foot placements. So what am I considering when I select between these two options? First, I'm considering a combination of the outside temperature and how consistently I'll be moving. If it's really cold or pretty mild, the choices are easy. But I won't really consider double boots until we are getting into -degrees or below -18 Celsius. But different people have different circulatory and temperature sensitivities. And then, if I'll be constantly on the move, like with a snowshoeing trip or a ridge scramble, I may not need doubles unless it is deeply cold, as I'll rarely stop to allow my internal temperature to drop. Next, I need to think about the technical demands of my objective. I'd rather do technical climbing in a single boot with its better precision. Of course, if it's cold enough, that can't matter, as it's hard to have precision with frostbite. But part of the technical considerations also must include how much I'll be standing around. If it's fully pitched climbing, I'll spend a lot of time just belaying and cooling down. And finally, the duration of the trip matters. It matters for 2 reasons. One reason is that it's pretty easy to deal with warming boots for a night or 2, but if it starts being weeks, being more comfortable in camp can matter a lot in terms of getting better rest and therefore climbing better. The second reason is that the longer I am out, the more likely a storm is to roll in, making the temperature considerations more acute. And in those circumstances, again, it's not just about life outside the tent. I can even sleep with my liners on if need be. So that's a primer on single and double boots. Hopefully this starts you down a path of finding the right footwear for you. What's the coldest temperature you've climbed in? And what was on your feet? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out that video I mentioned about single and double-walled tents, or maybe check out our entire cold weather series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.